dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides.
Andrew here on Liberty Nation Radio, heard coast to coast on the Radio America Network. I'm your host, as always, Mark Angelides, and we're joined by Liberty Nation's Economics Affairs Editor, Mr. Andrew Moran. Thanks for being here, Andrew.
Thank you for having me.
So, Andrew, you titillated and entertained me this last week with a fascinating story on the price of chips. Now, many people think I'm talking about fries because of where I'm from, but no, I'm talking about potato chips. Oh, of course, both are made of potato. But,
the chips,
or no computer chips. The chips, I don't know how else to explain this. The little ones that are kind of dried and come in a little packet that I don't know what people do. I don't eat them. But the prices of chips are coming down. Why?
Yeah, so PepsiCo, they're the maker they have the
Doritos
portfolio of
Lay's.
Doritos and Lay's and all that junk food that's just horrible for you. And they in their latest earnings report, they said they're going to lower prices by up to 15% for these products because of waning demand. But you see the writing on the wall. Other fast food companies have joined the foray of lowering the prices or changing their products to adapt to evolving market conditions. And one of those changing conditions is the overhaul of the SNAP program or food stamps. We're about to want to state, I think it's up to 18 states now are either restricting junk food or overhauling the requirements and criteria of using those SNAP benefits.
I mean, call me crazy here, but are we essentially saying that prior to these rule changes on the supplemental nutritional programs, that essentially the American taxpayer was subsidizing people to eat potato chips?
Yeah, I find that fascinating because you look at some of the numbers of these companies. So Coca-Cola, for example, there was a study done a few years ago, and the conclusion was that around 1/5 or 20% of Coca-Cola's revenues came from SNAP benefits of recipients using this money to buy Coca-Cola, to buy Diet Coke, to buy all this other wide array of junk that's just absolutely atrocious for you. But then also, I mean, it's not just Coca-Cola. You look at
Tell us your feelings on this food, Andrew. Don't hold back.
Yeah, I don't touch this. I mean, I'm a coffee drinker and water and maybe sparkling lemon water. But anyway, so you look at Walmart. Walmart is the biggest recipient of SNAP benefits, of course, because they sell the food. They sell, they have the cheapest food in the United States. So of course, that's where you want to stretch your food stamps dollar. But then also at the same time, you start diving a little bit deeper into those things. There was this one study I found. I think I said it in my article, and it showed that the food stamp recipients, they don't buy private label. They buy the main stuff, the main brands that are more expensive, but they're not more nutritious or healthier. So there's a lot of trends, consumer trends that go on inside the SNAP benefits. Just one of them is buying the junk food.
And so once you've removed, we'll agree it's essentially a subsidy then, right?
Yes. Well, not direct. I mean, you're
not direct, of course.
Okay, here at $20, go buy chips.
The qualifier, essentially, yeah.
It's indirect.
So what would happen if we removed subsidies from other areas of United States commerce, healthcare, insurance, things like that?
Well, I mean, the market would do its thing. You just
and do the same as the potato chip prices and respond by lowering prices.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is an excellent point you make, because subsidies, I think the line is, when you subsidize something, you get more of it. You tax more, you get less of it. So with healthcare, you mentioned healthcare. Healthcare is a great example of how subsidies have really worsened and made healthcare unaffordable. Because Milton Friedman, he talked about this in the 90s, and he said the worst problem with U.S. healthcare is that everybody is spending everybody else's money. It's one of the four ways of spending money. You spend your own money on yourself, you spend your money on somebody else spends your money or their money on somebody else, and then everyone spends everybody else's money on somebody else. And that's the problem with healthcare affordability, or just society in general, is that subsidies make things worse. And, in this case, it's your health that's with the junk food. Health is the ramification of subsidies.
It's the unintentional consequence of subsidizing different things. And now that subsidy is supposed to benefit a certain group of people, right? So whether that's people who are on SNAP or people who are getting medical budget funding. But the people who are not receiving that, they're actually getting hit twice, right? They're getting hit first because it's their tax money that's going to pay this subsidy. And then they're getting hit again because the marketplaces are reacting. Well, we're getting this almost guaranteed income through a subsidy. Let's, we're doing well. We can afford to put this up because it's going to be subsidized anyway. So the lion's share of our profits will just continue to rise in that particular marketplace. And so the person who is not receiving the subsidy, number one, they're getting hit because they're funding that subsidy directly. And then number two, they're getting hit because the market's then deciding we're getting subsidized on this. Let's put the prices up. So they're actually getting hit twice on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's one of the expectations with this PepsiCo. One of the conclusions, I should say, with PepsiCo is that for years the SNAP benefits were able to subsidize PepsiCo's products through artificial demand. So by having artificial demand, we were able to keep prices elevated. But now that demand is falling, either because of SNAP or because people maybe are more health conscious. I'm not talking about the SNAP benefits, but non-SNAP households, they become more health conscious, or maybe they're more price conscious. That they're patronizing this company far less than they were a couple of years ago.
Well, there's actually
the whole "Make America Healthy Again." People want to are focused on their food.
Well, that's something that we shouldn't ignore in this discussion. That there's another two aspects that could be behind it. Sure, the balance sheet seems to suggest that, and indeed PepsiCo's statement seems to suggest that they're doing this because of the SNAP related changes. But there is also the Make America Healthy Again aspect to it. I would imagine that a certain segment of society are seeing what's happening to that and thinking, well, maybe I should be cutting out, the Pepsis or the sodas, the sweet treats, things like that. And another aspect is, of course, the persistent, I guess it's becoming a ubiquitous term, the cost of living crisis is another thing. So maybe because these things aren't cheap, right? The high sugar, high fructose, they're not that cheap. Not compared to fruit and vegetables and plain old meat, right? Thanks ever so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
We dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides.